I've done root beer ribs before. I've done cheerwine chicken, both of those using popular sodas to make a barbecue sauce. Well, today I'm going to be making Dr. Pepper ribs. Now the ribs we're using today are a couple small racks of baby back ribs. One's a little bit bigger than the other, that's no problem. And we're gonna be smoking them up out on the Oklahoma Joe using some hickory wood. Now the Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce is pretty sweet. So the rub we're gonna be using today has a little bit of heat to it. Not too much, just a little bit. And that's gonna be some Smiling Swine barbecue rib rub. But before we can get any rub on, have to get the membrane off these ribs. Just get under this membrane here. Sometimes you can pull it with just your hands, your gloved hands, whatever. Sometimes you need a paper towel. Paper towel gives you that extra little grip. And just go back, grab any of the pieces that didn't come off. The same with this one. Doesn't always come off in one pull. Only thing that matters is you get that membrane off. All right, let's get these rubbed up. We're gonna give these all a nice coating of this Smiling Swine rib rub. All right, these racks are ready. Let's get them out to the Oklahoma Joe's Highland and start smoking them. All right, the Oklahoma Joe's Highland is actually above temp, and that's fine. It'll start to moderate once we get these ribs on and I dial in the vents. But let's go ahead and get our ribs on. I have my two small water pans near the smokestack side of the cooker, and I have my ambient temperature probe pretty much dead center towards the front of the cooking chamber. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get our lid closed, get smoking. So I'm burning hickory today, and if you'll notice a lot of charcoal in there, what I'll often do is save the charcoal that's been smothered from, say, the Weber kettle or the PBC, and I'll use it in the basket here as my starter charcoal. If you get a really hot bed of charcoal going, it's a lot easier to ignite the wood. Sometimes if your wood won't get going, a really hot bed of charcoal helps. The main thing you have to do with that is remember you're going to generate more ash, so make sure you have a good metal ash bucket to scrape some of that ash out during your cook, and I do that often. So let's close this up. Get smoking. So the temperature I'm shooting for on the Oklahoma Joe's Highland today is somewhere in the 250 range. 25 degrees to either side of that I'm fine with. I'll be adjusting the vents to dial it into there if it goes up, drops, add more wood when we need to, but we're not gonna check this for about 2 hours. With baby backs, I've started to use that 2-hour mark as a real sort of benchmark to see how they're doing. If they're flexing well at that 2-hour mark, I will wrap them. And usually once they're wrapped, it's only about an hour of wrap time, then maybe another hour to finish up. So I'll bring you back in a couple hours when it's time to check these ribs. Okay, we've been going 2 hours. Let's give our ribs a check. Those are looking good. Let's give them a flex test and see how we're coming along in tenderness. You know, those are still pretty stiff there. Yep. Sometimes at 2 hours, they're ready to be wrapped. These aren't ready to be wrapped, but they are looking a little dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and spritz these, and this is a 2-to-1 mixture of water to Dr. Pepper soda. That's 2 parts water, 1 part Dr. Pepper. All right, we're gonna get our lid closed, keep on smoking. We're gonna check the firebox. Yeah, we got a piece of hickory pretty well burned down there. Also gonna knock a little ash out of the box here. And go ahead and get a fresh piece of hickory on. All right, our hickory's burning. Let's close it up so we can keep smoking. So we'll check these baby back ribs in about an hour again. I'm pretty sure at that time they're gonna be ready to be wrapped. But right now, let me show you how I made the Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce last night. So this Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce starts with a base of 2.5 cups of plain old ketchup. To this, we're gonna add 24 ounces of Dr. Pepper soda. We're also gonna add 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar, 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Ooh, nice little fizz. We're gonna add a teaspoon of ground mustard, 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of granulated garlic, 1/2 teaspoon, are you catching that there's a theme here? 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Our final ingredient, and the one that takes the longest to add, 7 ounces of molasses. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and set my induction burner on medium power. We wanna bring this up to a simmer and we're gonna start stirring it. Just gonna gently stir it to start mixing things together. Help that ketchup dissolve, all the brown sugar dissolve. We will be stirring this every few minutes throughout the time when it's simmering and reducing. And you wanna make sure when you do that you scrape the bottom of the pan. That's why it's good to use a wooden spoon. You wanna make sure any of those sugars and things don't get stuck down there, sort of burn on the bottom. If they do, it's not gonna kill the sauce, but you just wanna try and avoid that. All right, we're gonna let this come up to a simmer and start to reduce. Just starting to get that bubbling, it's starting to build to a simmer. I wanna take a small whisk now and make sure we've got it mixed well. Starting to smell that Dr. Pepper coming off this. This is gonna go great on those baby backs tomorrow. All right, we've been going for about 15 minutes and it's starting to thicken up, starting to reduce, but it's gonna need to go more, so we're gonna keep going for another 20 minutes and then we'll check it again. All right, we've been going another 20 minutes now and this is just at the perfect consistency that I want it, so you can just see it just is thickened a little bit. I don't want it thick like ketchup, you just want that little bit of body to it. Go ahead and give this a quick little taste here. That's Dr. Pepper. That tastes really good, actually. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off my induction burner. We're gonna let this cool for a minute. Then I'm gonna go ahead and pour this into some jars, let that cool, and it's gonna go in the refrigerator overnight, and it'll be ready tomorrow for our Dr. Pepper ribs. All right, we've been going 2 hours and 45 minutes. Let's check our ribs. Nice color developing on them now. Sun's hitting them, so it might be a little hard to see. Let's just check here. Yeah, there's more flecks than last time. All right, I think it's time to wrap these. And I just want to hit this with some of that same spritzing liquid, the 2-to-1 mixture of water to Dr. Pepper. Get some moisture in the package here. Get this back on and get our second rack. All right, we're gonna get our lid closed, keep smoking. We'll check those in about an hour. All right, our ribs have been going for another 45 minutes. Let's get them off here. I'm pretty sure we're gonna be saucing these now. All right, let's open this up and fight the flies. Ah, looking good. Do a quick tenderness check with the probe. Oh yeah, we're probing very tender here. This is the perfect time to sauce these. Gonna get a nice coating of this Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce on here. And then these are gonna go back on the smoker. I'm guessing a half an hour, 45 minutes. I'm gonna put these back on the smoker and grab our other rack. This one actually broke in half, so we are very tender. I know I said 30 to 45 minutes, but with as tender as these are, I'm giving them 20 minutes and then I'm gonna pull them. So I'll see you back here in 20 minutes. All right, it has been about 20 minutes. Let's look at these ribs, but I know they're coming off. Oh, beautiful color on those. Just those 20 minutes with that sauce on there has really deepened that color. All right, I'm gonna get these off. We're gonna get them inside, have a taste. All right, here is one rack of our Dr. Pepper baby back ribs. Really good color on this, and I gotta tell you, I've tasted the sauce on its own, and it really does have a nice Dr. Pepper kick to it, that great flavor from that soda. If you're a Dr. Pepper fan, this is a really great barbecue sauce to make. But let's check these ribs out. I'm gonna try and do it without having to flip them over here. Hey, I got lucky. All right. Ooh, looking good. You can see that we have some falling off the bone here. That's actually a little further than the way I prefer it. I prefer the ribs to have some more bite, but sometimes the baby backs, they can cook much quicker than you expect, and they don't always exhibit the outward signs like the meat pulling back extensively from the bone. There is pullback here, but I've seen a lot greater pullback with them not being fall off the bone. So they're still gonna taste great. I'm just gonna tip it up so I can get a good, let's cut a few. Ah, good looking ribs. What I wanna do here is I wanna brush a little bit more of this Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce on some of these, just kind of a nice finishing glaze. If you don't like too much sauce, you don't have to do this, but I love the flavor of this sauce. I like all the sort of soda sauces that you can make. The root beer, that Cheerwine barbecue sauce was great. Let's even brush a little on this half rack part here. Gotta say, these are looking great, they're smelling great. It's time to taste. I have always felt that with ribs, if you're trying to not get messy as you're eating them, I don't know if I trust you, because ribs you're gonna get messy, especially if they're sauced, but let's go in. Let's see how this tastes. Oh boy, you do get a nice little undertone of that kick from the rub, but really it's about this Dr. Pepper barbecue sauce and that really nice familiar sweetness. That thing you remember from the soda works really well on this pork. And I am getting the pull away from the bone, not the fall off the bone, so I'm right on the edge there. Some of these maybe completely fall off the bone. That's all right, but I do prefer them like this. I can't even tell if I have any on my face. I'm not sure of my addition here, but I think that was about a 4.5 hour cook time, which is pretty typical for baby backs. They took a little bit longer in the first part. Usually for me, they're between 2 and 2.5 hours. These were about 3. Wrapping time an hour, finishing time 20 minutes. Really a pretty typical baby back cook. And really the fun part about this is making your own sauce, putting it on some good ribs. I just love doing that. So if you like ribs and Dr. Pepper, give this recipe a try. Or if you have another soda, try using that instead of the Dr. Pepper. You can pretty much substitute it 1 for 1 in this recipe. And I gotta tell you, when you pair it with some good ribs, that sauce, whether it's Dr. Pepper or another soda, it's gonna be terrific. Those are some really good ribs.